Hello and welcome back to our study of Peninei Halacha, the teachings of Eliezer Melamed, Shlita. We find ourselves today on Tu B'Shvat. Tu B'Shvat, which is mentioned in the first Mishnah in Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah Le'ilanos. It's the new year for the trees, as we used to celebrate it in school and other places, a Israel-centric holiday, and perhaps not as enjoyable this year as in previous years. I did see some inspiring moments, though. If one looks in Israeli news and media and social media, you'll see how, especially in the south, people have gone down to plant trees in memory of those we lost. There was a beautiful picture in Kibbutz Be'eri of all these trees planted in memory of those we lost, and we continue to learn for the strength for our IDF soldiers, Refuah Shalem L'Klal Yisrael, and for the return of all of our hostages. So it's appropriate that on this day we do a very, very central halacha for the land of Israel, and nothing is by accident, is that this chapter is called Eretz Yisrael. B'Yom Ha'Atzmaut, on the fifth day of Iyar, Chamesh Alafim Tavshin Ches Amin Sha'amon Kam L'Reis Olam, what we know is 1948 in Tavshin Ches. Be'ez Hachrazas HaMedina, Zacha Am Yisrael Achar Alpayim Shnos Galus Lachzor L'Kayim Et Mitzvah Yishuv Haaretz. With Hakamat HaMedina, when the announcement was made of the state of Israel, after more than 2,000 years of exile, the Jewish people merited to come back and to fulfill the mitzvah of settling the land of Israel. Alidei Hachrazas HaMedina V'Chalas HaRibonut Al Chalakim Eretz Yisrael, through the announcement of the state and the beginning of our control over portions of Israel, we began to fulfill the mitzvah that the land is in our hands and not in the hands of any other nation. And even though that before 1948, every Jew that lived in Israel fulfilled a personal mitzvah of settling in the land, mikol makom es ikar mitzvah. Nevertheless, the main mitzvah, she mitzvah haklalis, which is the general communal mitzvah, she haaretz tiyeh b'yadeinu v'lo b'yad umma acheretz, that the land should be in our hands and not in the hands of anyone else, adayin lo kiyamnu, we had not yet fulfilled, again, until 1948. Gam bezmanim shegar be'eretz Yehuda rabim, even the times when many Jews lived in the land, kol zman she'aretz haisa tachas shilton zar es mitzvah haklalis lo zachinu l'kayem. As long as it was not under our control, meaning the Jewish people, the Jewish nation, then we didn't fulfill this communal mitzvah. Chazal also instituted that whoever sees the cities of Yehuda in their destruction, you have to say, our holy cities are now a midbar, and you tear your clothing. V'haklalhu, shafilim rov toshvei osan ha'arim heim Yehudim. The principle is, even if most of the inhabitants are Jews, kol zman shashilton biyad goyim, harehem nachshavas charevos v'korban al riyason. As long as the control is under our enemies or under not our control, then they are considered desolate and distraught and destroyed, and we tear our garments when we see them. V'im hayu tachas ribonos Yisrael, and if it's under Jewish control, afilim rov toshveim goyim, but however, if it's under Jewish control, even if its majority of the inhabitants are not Jewish, then it's not considered charev, it's not considered a destroyed city, and we certainly don't have to tear our clothing. And this is based on the Shulchan Aruch in the Tur, Beis Yosef in the Bach. If you want to look it up, it's Orach Chaim Taf Kuf Samach Aleph, and it's also in the Mishnah Berurah. V'chein Rav Tzvi Yehuda Kohen Cook Zatal HaYmagish. So he quotes from Rav Tzvi Yehuda. Rav Kook said, Yom Ha'Atzmaut zechina l'kayim es mitzvah yishuv haaretz, that on the day of Atzmaut we merited to fulfill the mitzvah of settling the land. Upa'am b'mesibas Yom Ha'atzmaut b'yeshivas Merkaz Harav, darash echad harabanim hagonim sheish erech gadol hakamas hamedina. And he says that one time during one of the simchas, the festivities on Yom Ha'atzmaut in Merkaz Harav, in the main yeshiva, of course, if anybody wants to see the yeshiva located in Kiryat Moshe in Yerushalayim, but in Merkaz Harav, one time on Yom Ha'atzmaut, one of the rabbis, Darshan, about the great value of the Hakamat HaMedina, of having the state of Israel. Sheme'az hakamasa hisrabu hayishivos. V'yoser kal l'shamrei Torah l'kayim mitzvos. Because once the Medina was erected, and there were more places of Torah study, and it was very easy, or was much easier for people who are Torah observant to fulfill mitzvos. And that's why we have to celebrate Yom Ha'Atzmaut, because it increased Torah observance, and it made it easier for those who are Torah observant to fulfill mitzvos. So Tzvi Yehuda added to this. He said he went to great lengths to add on to this and to point out that the main point of the Medina being established is the big thing. The actual establishment of the Medina is a mitzvah in the Torah. And of course, through that, one thing leads to another, a mitzvah goreres mitzvah, and then many mitzvahs will be fulfilled. L'sikum, so in conclusion, or to sum it up, the establishment of the state of Israel is not just a means by way we can fulfill other mitzvahs, but it is in and of itself a tremendous mitzvah. And not only this, but the establishment of the state of Israel and all of everything that flowered afterwards is certainly, that's another rung in the redemption of the Jewish people. B'meshech doros rabim, machmas onas lo yicholenu l'kayim ha-mitzvah. Neshelo hayalonu tzava l'klei neshek, she'afshu lanu l'chvoshes artinu l'kayim b'shelton. For many generations, due to circumstances beyond our control, we were not able to fulfill this mitzvah. We didn't have an army, we didn't have the means, we didn't have the weapons that allowed us to conquer the land and to establish rulership. Nimtza ki hakamas hakoch hatzvai shel Yisrael lefnei hakamas hamedina, v'yitzur v'yisusa b'hakamas tzahal, ma'afsharim lanu l'kayim es ha-mitzvah. So it comes out that establishing a military power, which took place before 1948, if you look at the history of Israel, where different types of factions that were fighting against our enemies, and they finally joined together to form Tzahal, the Tzva Haganah Yisrael, those things all allowed us to fulfill this mitzvah of establishing the state of Israel. So therefore, the establishment of Tzava, the establishment of the Jewish army, is a necessary step that allows us to fulfill the mitzvah of settling in the land. Aside from, of course, the main mitzvah of saving us and protecting us from our enemies. And he says, and this is how it's going to be until the prophecy of Isaiah in the 2nd chapter is fulfilled, which says, I'll just read through the psukim that he quotes here. V'halchu amim rabim v'amar l'chu v'na'ala al har Hashem el beis Elokei Yaakov v'yareinu midrachav v'nelcha be'erchosav ki mitzion teitei saro advar Hashem Yerushalayim v'shafat bein hagayim v'achiach la'amim rabim v'chitzu charvasam li'itim v'chinesim l'mazmeiros lo yisagay al goy cher v'lo yamudu od melchama. Of course, we know this famous passage of turning the swords into plowshares, etc., etc., but the ultimate day when we will have full control. So we see that the establishment of the Medina is in and of itself a mitzvah, and the establishment of tzava, of tzahal, is what we would call a hechsher mitzvah. That's a huge part of allowing us to fulfill the mitzvah, and through those mitzvahs, then we're able to fulfill so many other mitzvahs in Eretz Yisrael. And it's appropriate that today, for Tu B'Shvat, which is an Eretz Yisrael mitzvah, Rosh Hashanah Le'ilanos, and let us hope this is a new sprouting for new, better times for our people. And let us never forget those who have made the ultimate sacrifice so that we can have the mitzvah of Yishuv Ha'aretz, those who died protecting us from our enemies, those who died making sure that we have our land, and those who continue to fight for us each and every day. So please continue to daven for Tzva Haganah Yisrael as we learn a tremendous mitzvah that they exist. For Shalema, for those who are injured, and for the return of all of our hostages. Tu B'Shvat Hagiach Chag Yelanot. Hope everyone has a good Chag. We'll see you here next time, Eretz Hashem, as we continue learning Peninei Halacha from Eliezer Melamed.